Hi, I'm Michael Smith for Nevada Trails, and tonight I have Don of Angler's Edge. And as you just saw a few seconds ago, he caught a heck of a fish. And tell me, John, where exactly were we, and how'd you catch that nice fish?
Well, thanks for having us, Michael. We went out, took our day trip, or half-day trip, out to Pleasant Valley Fly Fishing Preserve.
That was me.
Which is just south of Markleyville, and in a beautiful little valley out there that is set aside specifically for fly fishing and folks to go out and enjoy a spectacular day out on the creek and some very wonderful fish.
Well, we were out there for about 4 or 5 hours, and the time went by so fast. I didn't even realize that I was actually apologizing because we had some smoke in there from some California fires, and it was kind of affecting my asthma. So I thought I was having Don come in early, and as it turned out, we got to the car, and I went, whoa, that would have been a half-day rate. And one thing great about having Don out in the field is I got to see a guide catch fish, and here's a shot of a fly. He had just caught a nice fish, and you'll see that later in the footage. But here he's teaching me what he just did and how he caught the fly, and I'm seeing him land this fish, and it was just great to be out there.
It was a beautiful day, with the smoke and all, which was unfortunate because it did kind of ruin our view. But yeah, the picture there is of about a size 18, number 18, Adams, which is a representation of a mayfly. The pattern that's used to tie that is just called an Adams. And actually, it's a very common insect. You'll see it on the screens, window screens and door screens at your home. It doesn't take much water at all for these things to breed and deposit their eggs.
Well, the fun part for me is it just sat down, and we got just flies flying around, and I'm thinking this looks like a dream thing for fish and birds, and we're hearing all these birds, and then all these. All of a sudden, I'm thinking this giant fly lands. I thought, if he has a fly like that, he's going to land a fish. And it was less than 10 minutes, and he had a nice fish that you saw earlier. The earlier shot of him holding up was that first fish. But it was such a great pier. And here, this picture, you can see that Don had some smoke behind him. And that's from the California fires. But the view was so spectacular. We're surrounded by these beautiful mountains.
It is a beautiful area. I mean, the meadows, the green meadows there up against the stark granite rock of the mountains and everything. Unfortunately, yesterday we had the smoke settling into the valley there. It wasn't as bad as it has been, just like down here in this valley.
Well, the rain last night probably cleared it out.
Hopefully, we've got it cleared out now, and
so when you guide, this is one of the places you take people?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And it's in the Markleyville area?
Right. This is a private reserve, so time is booked out there. So you can avoid the crowds, you can save a lot of gas, you don't have to go to Montana to get into exceptional fish. We've got it right here in our backyard.
Well, one thing I liked about it is that as a disabled person, you talked about bringing out a number of cancer programs. And what was it, the one that just happened is what, kids with cancer?
Yeah, actually it's real recovery for men with cancer that are recovering from cancer. And the preserve is real active and supports a lot of those functions. So we have the Real Recovery program that comes out once a year. We have Casting for Recovery, ladies with breast cancer. And this year is our first year involved with Real Kids. And Bob Macias of Bent Rod Fly Fishing is involved with all those programs and has been a big support and helps with getting the preserve set up to go in and do these functions. And
well,
everything.
I thought that was fantastic because the amount of time to set this thing up with the kids, and you said they drive around with ATVs to put coolers so everyone who needs a drink can get a drink. And I saw it firsthand. They can take care of people and get them out there. And now, if they want to go to this location and fish, can you give them out your phone number and website?
Sure. If people are interested in contacting or getting information about Pleasant Valley and the preserve, they can contact us at the Angler's Edge. Keith is going to put some additional numbers for alpine fly fishing and Jim Krause, as well as Bob Macias and Bent Rod Fly Fishing. Contact any of us, and we can get you scheduled with a day and a time to come out and fish and enjoy a spectacular spot, wonderful fish. It's probably the best fish you'll find in the Eastern Sierra here. I might be a little bit prejudiced, but I enjoy it out there. It's a beautiful spot.
You were very educational. I learned a lot, and could, we'll definitely want to go back again, and you can teach me or my assistant how to fish, and hopefully it'll be me.
Well, that's what our guide trips are all about. Is we're very heavy on education. So it's from absolute beginners to the mediocre novice, and even up to the expert. Because you can always, in fly fishing, you can always learn something. It's a sport that grows with you year over year over year. So it's nothing that you learn and master and know it all right away. So. Yeah,
well, here's the fish we talked about earlier, where
it was the
we
first
were just
fish
there,
out of the pond.
Just there 10 minutes, and I had a fly land on me. I'm thinking, this is a good omen. And while you're caught this fish, there's also fish jump around in the background. And
yeah, that fish probably went about 3.5 pounds out of the pond there, and several. In fact, there might be a rise right in the back corner there of a little brook trout or a smaller rainbow or something. But this guy, when we walked up to the pond, he was just cruising right there in the shallows, and so I laid that Adams out there, and sure enough, he took it. So.
Well, after break, we'll show the live footage of Don catching this fish, and then he also released it. Just to remind you all, this is a catch and release location, and then he'll talk to you about some general casting and some of the things that the preserve does. But the beauty of getting away. It was only like 20 miles away from my home, and I just felt like I was.
Exactly. You can have a
vacation.
mini vacation right here without spending a lot of money on gas and all that. You can get book a day out at the preserve, whether it's guided or unguided. Go out, get into these spectacular fish, spend the entire day out there in just beautiful country, and then be back in town for supper time if you like, or stay and fish the evening bite.
Well, you also have a store in Gardnerville too that your wife manages, right? And so if they want to not particularly go on a guide trip, they can take lessons at the store for a while. And
well, we do casting lessons at the store, absolutely. The Angler's Edge. We can either do. We try to keep the class sizes for casting limited. If about 4 people, we can do with a single instructor. So we can either do that in the park. One of the local parks is typically the way we go. So yeah, education, we're huge on it as far as getting people active in the sport of fly fishing, getting out and experiencing that.
Well, the fun thing to me though is seeing an actual guide who talks, but then you see him do it.
Well,
that
fish at the diversion dam, we were very lucky. I mean, you got down there on your belly in the grass, and the fish never saw you, and I snuck up from the side and from behind, and we typically don't hook a lot of those fish.
Well,
so we were very lucky.
I was testing what you told me is once we got the footage, I cut up a little bit, and the fish, once they saw me, they were gone.
Yeah.
And we had a shot you just saw probably a little while ago where they had like 10 of these beautiful giant fish, and one is the one that you caught. You had to released it, and I'm thinking once they saw us, that was it.
Oh, they get lockjaw real quick. They won't open their mouths for anything if they're.
When you see that the footage at the very beginning of how that fight, and this guy was working out too.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. He ran me up the creek there, and then back down into the rocks, into the fast water, and back down into the pool, and tried to head for that log, but. Well, to keep them out of there.
They were scrappy. I mean, even the little rainbow were biting too that day, and they were going right for the hedge bushes. The bushes?
Right into all that heavy cover in there in the willows. They like to hang out underneath that. And I'm really shocked that we didn't get any brook trout out of there. That was amazing. That pond holds some very nice brook trout.
Well, between we saw the ducks and the ducks, and I saw a water snake, and actually a lot of nature. So it was absolutely pretty good. And I just really had a good time. So now we're going to go to break, and then when we get back from break, you'll see footage of Don catching some fish and teaching us about fishing. And I really appreciate you coming to Nevada Trails, and definitely for taking me out in the field. And you spent a good half day with me, and that's a nice thing to do. So thank you for joining me in Nevada Trails, and we look forward to calling Don and getting out there yourselves. And thank you for watching. This has been Michael Smith for Nevada Trails.
Hi, I'm Fish and Game Warden Patrick Foy. Boaters at Lake Tahoe should expect watercraft inspections at all launch sites around the lake. These inspections are designed to prevent the destructive spread of zebra and quagga mussels, as well as other aquatic invasive species. If brought into Lake Tahoe, Invasive species will damage boats and the pristine waters and be impossible to remove. Remember to clean, drain, and dry your boat every time before entering a new body of water. Clean boats stop aquatic hitchhikers.
In order to protect our riding opportunities, we've got to tread lightly. That means staying on roads, trails, and areas designated for ATVs. Also, go over, not around trail obstacles to avoid widening trails. And cross rivers slowly, and only at places where the trail crosses the stream. Join the millions of responsible riders who protect our privileges and our natural resources by treading lightly in the outdoors. Visit Tread Lightly at treadlightly.org.
Now, do you stock this property here?
It gets augmented occasionally just with broodstock from hatchery up by Eagle Lake. Like I was saying, I pointed out the rock garden down there. So we get a lot of natural spawning going on. We get juveniles through there that eventually migrate on upstream here.
Mm-hmm.
The pond here is stocked and available, sometimes for special occasions. We've got a number of cancer events that go on out here, real recovery for men with cancer, casting for recovery, women with breast cancer. And this year is a first with real kids with cancer. Going to come out and enjoy the preserve out here and try and catch a few fish while they're here. So, I got fish feeding here, but I got to get to them. I got algae.
Well, it's certainly a beautiful location.
It is gorgeous out here, and when the air is clear and everything. We got all the fires in California right now, but boy, when the sky is blue, you get a beautiful shot of Raymond Peak back here, and just wonderful mountain settings. So you can't ask for a better spot to fish. That's for sure. Where's that big cruiser at? This little pond is fun because it can be pretty challenging. The fish lay over in all that dense willow for cover. And so teasing them out of that can be somewhat a challenge. You can hear them popping and flipping and feeding on little tiny insects. The trick is to try and figure out what insects they're feeding on. So, got a bunch of damselflies down here.
I'm hearing a lot of hits in the water.
Yeah, they're popping all over.
I also hear some great birds too.
Oh, there's all kinds of wildlife. Oh! The fish followed the fly and then took a natural right next to it.
So now is the goal to get a fly to look like that other natural?
Yeah, we got to figure out, that's part of the challenge here, is figure out exactly what these fish are feeding on and then try and imitate that. See if we can get them to rise to that. No, that was that big cruiser over there that just took a natural off the surface.
How big is he?
I'd give him about 18 to 20 inches. 18 or 20 and 3 to 4 pounds.
Now, what's the name of this location again? The
Pleasant Valley Fly Fishing Preserve, and it's available for guided or unguided trips for the day. And you can be assured that it won't be overbooked, that there'd be so many people out here that you're fishing elbow to elbow with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I think the limit on anglers is probably about 6, and it's 3.5 miles a stream for 6 people to fit on is pretty darn reasonable. So, and you can do guided trips in half-day or full-day outings. The preserve is staffed with its own guides. So, and you can come into the shop there and get your reservation so that we can get you on the books and get your day out here.
So they can call you to Angler's Edge to get more information too, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we try to stay on top of what's going on out here as much as possible, because it is such a beautiful spot to come and fish.
Well, what's going on is there's a lot of fish popping, and
And I'm tying on flies instead of fishing.
you're gabbing to me. It's absolutely beautiful. It's smoky as heck, though.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I'm struggling a little bit on breathing, but it's still pretty darn pretty. We saw a beaver dam just a little bit ago.
He's been a busy beaver. He backed up the stream there in about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks worth of time. Come on, buddy. He's up in the air again. Come on, this way. Come on, this way. This way. That's it. Another one. Can you see that from there?
No.
Oh. Oh, boy, he's in the weeds. Oh, he's tying me up in all kinds. Come on, bud.
Now, is that the guy we were talking about?
Yeah, this is a big boy, the cruiser.
Well, he was hitting that natural bait. I thought he was due.
These fish really have a lot of fight in them. They're a cross between a rainbow and a steelhead. And they don't give up easy. He's going to get me into the weeds again. Come on. Come on. Oh, right around a stick. Not going to be pretty. Come on. Come on, kid. Oh, he's a wily. Come on. Finally took that Adams, which is a mayfly representation. He's been popping along all through here. Come on, big boy. They don't give up easy.
I think he's taking you for a walk.
Come on, buddy. That's it. Come on. Head up, head up, head up. This way.
And while you're fighting him, I just saw another fish hit the water with their bug too.
Yeah, a lot of times when they see all the splashing going on, it really just gets them excited and actually bring other fish along. I'm going to wet my hands here before I handle this fish. I need to fly.
That was a nice fight.
That's a beautiful fish. There's a big bony mouth, so the flies are... We pinch the barbs down so that it comes out of the fish's mouth, but these guys are Got such big bony mouths, sometimes it's tough to let the fly out. And we try to keep them in the water as much as possible. Oh, as much as possible. You can edit that out, right?
Yes. I gotta get some film though, for the camera's not working. Okay, I was kidding. That's beautiful fish.
Beautiful fish. We're gonna just make sure he's ready to go here. Hold on, please. And there he goes. Rising here. If you're interested in coming out, you can contact us there at the Angler's Edge, or you can call Jim Kraus with Alpine Fly Fishing. Jim's the manager of the preserve here, and he'll book you a date to come out, give it a shot. There's some guys holding way over there in the willows, nice and tight. Can't coax them out of there a little bit. You can get a guided trip for a half day. You pay a preserve fee of $95, or actually if you get a guide, your preserve fee is reduced to $80. And then you're welcome to continue if you get a guide for a half day and pick up some tips, tricks, and tactics. And then you're welcome to continue fishing the preserve for the rest of the day. So it can be a lot of fun. We got 3.5 miles of stream and some beautiful fish.
So if you were my guide for my wife and I, you would teach us for about 3 or 4 hours, and if we were ready, you'd turn us loose, huh?
You betcha. That's exactly it. Any kind of get you started with a good basic cast, which is in fly casting. Most all casting that we do is we're accelerating to a stop. And we get a lot of people that are spin fisher, have been spin fishing all their lives and stuff, and their cast kind of looks like this. And the fly line just doesn't carry. So you got to break those habits from spin casting and breaking the wrist and flicking that lure or bait or something out there. We've got to load the rod. We've got to get a bend in the rod, and that's what delivers the fly and the fly line. So it's a little softer action. Stop the rod, the line just takes off. It lays out there. Now it's so far out there I can hardly see my fly. I'm going to have to get into those willows a little more.
So right now you're trying to get underneath the willows?
Yeah, well, I kind of got out in the middle there a little bit. I'm going to try and get over there a little closer. That guy that's been popping up there.
So we're located at Alpine County, just outside of Markleyville?
Right, just outside of Markleyville. Beautiful Alpine County. The Alpine Alps on either side of us here. Unfortunately, it's kind of smoky today dealing with all those fires. But, beautiful country, beautiful views. Quiet, serene. Can't beat it. You can also get a hold of Bob Macias with Bent Rod Fly Fishing, the guide out here. And Bob's been guiding out here for a number of years. He knows the place like the back of his hand. And he's a certified fly casting instructor. So he can certainly give you all kinds of information. And that's the big thing we like to see, is that when people come out, we're really strong on education. We want to make sure that they have a good time, a good experience, and learn how to properly fly cast and fly fish, so it takes away the frustration. That's the big part. guys just don't want to play all of a sudden.
Well, it's so beautiful here. It's just hard to even think about the outside world.
Yeah, that's the idea. Like when it's in tight to those willows right there. Oh, there he went. Oh, he spit it.
I saw him hit it.
He was quick.
He's been a hungry little guy over there. I can't say how big he is, though.
My best guess is probably about 8 inches. The smaller the fish are, the faster they are. So that's always fun.